Hello, friends, and welcome. It's Michael Butler. I'm glad you're here. I'm your host today. It's Friday lunch hour, your Friday afternoon drive. How's everybody doing out there? Hopefully, you're being safe. It's Friday noon, and there's been a lot of requests from our friends and fans to talk about writing your book. In fact, we've been teaching on this topic for 5 years now, 5+ years, probably 6 years, on how to write your book in 60 days. And we're going to be having some guests today, and we're going to have some freebies today. So join us. Don't go anywhere. Go ahead and share the link with friends who are writing a book. If you've got a story burning on the inside of you and you want to get it out to the world, this is the place to be for the next 45 minutes. And we're going to dive into your story. We're going to dive into your book. So stop what you're doing. Turn everything off, turn the TV off, pull the car over at the side of the road. You're not going to want to miss this exciting, powerful information for the next 45 minutes. Who am I? I am Michael Butler, and I'm going to share my screen with you. I'm just a nerd kid from Oklahoma who had his library card maxed out. And I've been a reader all my life. I love doing what I'm doing. I love helping people find their voice. I love helping people find their story and write their book. The question is, can I write my book in 60 days? The fact is, you can write your book in 60 days. We're going to talk about the team approach, and I'm going to give you an opportunity to join us for free for the next 60 days. If you can commit to be a part of a group and that believes in you, believes in your story, wants to help you, with a group of people that love you and value you and will give you honest feedback on your story, that's what it's all about. We're going to be providing that in a Facebook group. But if you've been stuck, we're going to help you get unstuck. In fact, I'm going to give you my free book. Stick around till the very end. I'm going to give everybody on this call that wants a copy of my free book, Bestseller Status, Becoming a Best-Selling Author in the Digital Age. I'm going to give you a copy of that book, and this will help you write your book, launch your book, go bestseller, and get all the support you need and all the distribution you need as well. During these times of crisis, it's very important to have friends, and this will help you, that are going to help you launch your story and launch your book. Did you know writing a book increases your value as a consultant 380%, 219% as a speaker, and 194% if you're a real estate agent? Like I said, I'm just a kid from small town Oklahoma, a nerd kid with my library card maxed out. And I've been fortunate enough to help get people's stories on stage, to get people featured in major media, and to publish over the last 2 years 350 books, 350 authors in our catalog here, and two of which will be joining us on the show today. Very excited about that. Very excited about sharing. Let's see if I can share my PowerPoint with you. If we can't, then we'll be fine. We'll continue on. So we're going to be having some of our guests join us today, and it's very exciting. If you've ever gotten stuck, or if life has ever gotten in the way of you trying to complete your book, I've got a group of friends that are going to help you get it done. And with that being said, let me say hi to Ashley Trevino. How are you doing today from San Antonio, Texas?
I'm good. I put makeup on today, took a shower.
Oh, yeah. You're looking great and beautiful. Glad you joined us. So how are you surviving the quarantine and kids at home? You've been writing a book. How's that working out?
It's actually going faster, I think, during this quarantine. My kids have not been too much of an issue. They're a little bit older, and our schools are doing a fantastic job. They are plugged in when I'm plugged in. So they're on their laptops and iPads and all that stuff. But I have made it a priority to wake up probably 2 hours earlier than I normally would. And hold on, I got off of you. Can you see me?
Yeah, I see you. Great. So
Okay.
that's part of your MO is to get up early and before the noise.
Get up at 6. Sorry, my husband called and it totally just made my screen go blank.
That's
Get
awesome.
up early. I get up
You're busy in a media interview right now.
I know. Geez. So yeah, I try to get up at 5:30, 6 o'clock so that I have 2 hours uninterrupted to just start writing. And if I can't get in the writing groove at 5:30 or 6, I'm just taking a minute and, saying a quick prayer, writing down my thoughts. I always start with 10 things I'm grateful for. That's how I start my morning, every morning, 10 things I'm grateful for. And it just gets my mind thinking and working, and it gets me on a positive track. So that's how I start my day.
I love that. I love that. Now tell us a little bit about your book and the story. What are you launching here soon? Give us a little sneak peek on what's in your heart and what's inside the book.
Well, it's my story, but it's also a lot about being able to be vulnerable and showing up and jumping in, getting in the game, and not worrying about the critics in the cheap seats, and just showing up. It's okay to mess up. It's okay to fail, and learning from our failures and getting back up and moving on. So, and writing your own story, really being happy, choosing today to be happy, no matter your geography or your circumstance or what's going on.
Now you've been out there in the business space and you've been networking and things, but lately, like you said, your husband works and your kids during this quarantine are home. What are the age of your kids?
My oldest is 16 and 15, and I'm just gonna say this is a blessing because I'm not having to worry about what they're doing right now. It's kind of nice. It's kind of a reprieve from that, but they're just keeping busy on the lawn and schoolwork, and my oldest is in AP classes, so he's just as much into school as he would have been if he was going. So,
well, probably even better, right? Because I remember my son was recovering from a bone marrow transplant. He's a 10-year cancer survivor, and I remember he had to make up 6 months of school, and so he actually loved doing the online just to catch up. I mean, he did it and knocked it out so quickly. It seems like. Yeah.
Yeah, they're keeping it busy, and it's funny. I actually think they're learning better because they're not distracted by all the kids. So,
yeah, that's awesome. So, so let's talk about your writing rituals. You said you get up early, you show gratitude. I mean, there's got to be sometimes though, right? Because I raised boys, and you've got boys at your house. There's got to be some times where they're making noise or throwing each other through the walls, right?
Oh yes, absolutely. That's when I instill fear.
I love it. I love it. You bring the fear of God. That's awesome.
That's when I drop the hammer. No, like I said, I know that's going to happen. I've got boys. So my writing time is 6 to 12. And then I've got to be a mom. And so at night when people are, when my people are done with their stuff, I can maybe come back here, but that's just not when I'm good. I'm good in the morning. So everybody has their different times, right? My brain flows. I'm most energetic. I can make sense of things in the morning.
So at night, your husband comes home, it's family time, you can have a normal life and you focus on the book. What advice would you give for somebody that's easily distracted? Because I know I get easily distracted. I get a phone call, somebody hits me on Facebook. What's your advice to a writer that keeps getting distracted? And maybe, because how long has it taken you right now? You're what, 45 days in or what on this book writing?
Oh gosh, I didn't check. Probably 45 days in. I think I have all of my chapters in. I've done 0 editing, but
we're like 90% done with the book, right? I think you're just about done.
I'm about 90% done. I'm feeling good about it now. I'm finally like,
yeah.
I think I don't think I have a unique personality. I just think it's in my personality to just, I have an easy time starting, but I have a hard time when I get stuck. And so that would be my rituals to get unstuck and not pay attention to the noises of my phone, because I've got my computer that I'm typing on, but then I never want to X out of my book. So I keep my phone next to me because I'm like, oh, I got to Google this when I want to look at a definition or something. But what I've been doing is turning on airplane mode. And so.
Okay, there you go. I'm on airplane mode right now. Good idea.
I've got to, that's what I should, I'm not on airplane mode right now. Is what I should do. But I turned it on silent, but silent doesn't always work. I've got to unplug from my internet sometimes too, because the dings are constant, right? So you either set your phone somewhere else, and even my computer rings. My phone rings through my computer, which is a nightmare. So you've just got to be able to turn that off.
I figured out how to turn that off the other day. I actually had to go to YouTube and Google that to find a video, because I would be on a webinar like this and somebody would call and it would be like a spam call or something. And like, I got to fix this. I know that, what is it about iPhone too? I'm going to lay down and take a power nap. I turn it off, and then what happens? It rings anyway. So I finally figured that out.
Or bedtime mode is a good one, because bedtime mode won't let anybody get through. If you've got a bedtime mode, just set it.
Okay. Oh, that's a great writer tip.
That's just on your alarm. So.
Okay, cool deal. Well, what kind of pre-planning are you doing as far as the marketing? Are you doing any posts on social media to kind of tease that there's a book coming, or have you been totally silent about launching a book?
I've been silent so far, because what I've learned through my experience of trying to get things done is I have to chip away at one goal at a time. So I've got to get this done, or I'll never get it done. If I start thinking about marketing or moving to the next thing, my brain's going in too many directions. So for me, I've got to focus and get this done. I mean, once I get to the editing, then I'll start putting all those teasers out, probably in the form of some neat photography, or just getting little quotes that I've come up with out there and stuff. But right now, my focus has to stay single.
Oh, awesome. I get that. Well, listen, I'm going to read some comments. We got some great comments here in the chat. And guys, you can go ahead and ask questions. And we've got all the way from Asia, Pakistan, Asia watching. We've got Toronto, Canada, Rick Denley, his new book, Reinvent Yourself, just went #1. Hey, Rick. Israel Hernandez down there in San Antonio, in your neck of the woods. And then we got Carrie Lowe, hola, from Loreto, from Cabo San Lucas, Mexico. And Ben Gay has sold. I tell you what, Ben Gay, we'll bring him on as a guest soon, because that guy has sold over 5 million books. Ben Gay III. What an awesome story he has, and how he was able to share and sell so many books. So we've got people watching on YouTube, Periscope, Facebook right now, and we're streaming on about 5 Facebooks right now, including Beyond Publishing and my personal. So we're talking about getting unstuck. And here's what we decided to do. We have a Facebook group right now already with over 1,000. And go ahead. I was just going to say to that, guys, go ahead. I want to acknowledge everybody that's left a comment. If you have a question for me, Ashley, or Daniel's going to be joining us here in a moment. But go ahead and type it into the chat. And I think you need to authorize StreamYard for us to see your questions, for those questions to show up. But here on the Facebook group at Beyond Publishing, we have over 1,000 authors that are part of that group, and very supportive to one another. Those are independent authors that have published with other publishing houses, and then, of course, our own authors. And everybody's just really supportive, from asking questions about cover titles, to writing secrets, just like you were giving some great writing tips, Ashley. And everybody's real supportive there. But we're going to create a group for those that want to be a part of a Write Your Book in 60 Days. And during the COVID crisis, we're going to give back. So Beyond Publishing is going to pay it forward. And I'll be in that group every week hosting a webinar. But then also you can private message me. I'm going to give you my phone number. You can ask questions if you get stuck. And then also we're going to have some mentors in there, like Daniel and Ashley and Titus and other authors that are just doing great on knocking out their book, to get the feedback. Okay, and we're going to give you some critique. So Ashley, did Daniel and I give you some critique and feedback on your book?
Absolutely, yes.
It wasn't all pleasant. I mean, you're a great writer, and you've been writing really fast and very creative. And we can see when you update the Google Doc in the middle of the night and early morning, you're just busy and at it. And we're proud of you. But it's helpful, right? So I ran my first marathon a few years ago. And I tell you, I could not have done that had I not joined a running group. To be able to get out of bed at 5 a.m., to be able to run those Saturday morning 16-mile runs when it's 20 degrees, you want to stay in bed.
Absolutely. Alcoholics should not have all the fun, right?
That's exactly right. Writers should have the fun. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to encourage you. We're going to have a lot of fun. We're going to give you feedback on your book covers, okay? We're going to we talk about, why do people write a book? and it's establishing credibility. I know you've done a lot of speaking, coaching, and business networking and things like that, Ashley. Your book now is really mentoring women and helping women overcome and succeed at all stages of life. And so I'm really excited about that because we have powerful women. I was just going to use this as an example. Samantha Buckley's book, she's down in Los Cabos and she's friends with our friend here, Carrie. So Carrie, big shout out there. There you go. Carrie actually wrote an endorsement for Samantha's book. So Carrie, big shout out. Carrie, I tell you, that guy, top timeshare sales guy in the world for like 10 years in a row. That guy has sold half of Cabo's timeshare. So what an amazing story he has. But with Samantha's book, it was all about because she's a coach. She's been a coach. She coaches clients all over the world. She coaches clients on Zoom. And you know what? This COVID crisis hasn't really affected her business because she came out with her book and it really established credibility. We got the hardcover here, and she's going to be speaking everywhere. She already likes to speak and gets invited to speak, but she's got other invites. We've invited her to California. We've invited her to Guadalajara in November, December to speak. But isn't that just a beautiful cover? Unstuck yourself. Unstuck yourself. So people write books to get on more stages, establish credibility. Mr. Sticker Shock himself may be joining us in a few moments the day you realize you're worth millions. Daniel and I have this standing understanding with each other because he's a business coach. And that is when you're on the phone with the client, a new client that's hiring you and giving you a credit card, you drop everything else and you take care of the client, right? You take care of the customer. But Ashley, what's so beautiful about you being on the call today, here's a question I want to ask you. Did you have some self-doubt and some fear when you started writing, or before you engaged us to help you in publishing? Did you have some self-limiting belief? If so, what were they and how'd you overcome them?
Absolutely. Two probably, and they probably stem from the same thing, imposter syndrome and perfectionism. And I'm not, the way that I process perfectionism is to not start. So if I don't think I can do it good enough, then I stop. It's like when I can't tell you how many great ideas that I have, and then I get on Instagram for inspiration, and then it's like, oh crap, somebody already did this. I'll never be able to do it as good as they do. And then we just start feeling like we're an imposter. Somebody's already done it. Well, somebody's already wrote the book on vulnerability, and it's stupid, in my opinion, to not follow that map and learn what they've learned and expound on it, right? So we don't have to be them, but we can have our own stories of vulnerability and how we got unstuck, from that. And we're not an imposter. We have our own stories. So
I love that. You mentioned that too on the webinar the other day, because I think self-limiting beliefs and doubts are something we always struggled with. I stuttered as a kid, and Daniel talks about struggling with weight issues and kids making fun of him about being a chubby kid, or, I think everybody's experienced being picked last, right? Because you're playing sports in third grade and you get picked last, and you're like, oh, I thought I was better than that. And all of a sudden you start doubting yourself. And if we don't really put positive messages in our mind, we've got to audit our self-talk. And one thing that happens when you start writing the book, big shout out to Rick Denley, who just in the comments section, thanks Rick from Toronto. Yeah, he went number one in several categories this last week, and his book Reinvent Yourself. And what's so cool, we got another comment. What's so fun about this StreamYard we're using is we're getting comments from YouTube and comments from Facebook, and also comments from Twitter all at the same time, and then they're on the feed here. So that's kind of cool. But I'll share my screen once I figure out how to share the screen. Let me just try that. I'm going to try to share the screen, Ashley, and you can tell me if it's working or not as I try to share my screen. Or if it's, I don't know, maybe because you're in host mode, co-host mode, it might not give you the view everybody else is getting. But it's great to hear from Tony Pollard. Hey, Tony, good to see you on YouTube, buddy. Tony asked this question. This is great. Is how do you manage a full-time? So he's working full-time as he's writing his book. That's a great question, Tony. I think it's always great if you could take advantage of this. And I'm seeing one of my friends here with a beard. Hey, big shout out there to my buddy growing a nice beard. Dang, I thought about growing a beard. So Al Harris, big shout out to him. Just recovered from surgery and is growing a nice beard.
Goal.
I keep missing No Shave November, so I'm thinking No Shave April might, or for some reason my screen share I don't think is working. We'll have to ask a third party. Maybe in the comments, guys, if my screen share is working, let me know, because I want to talk about Tony's question, Ashley, as I move through a couple other questions, and I'm going to share my slides. And basically, what we're doing, people are writing books for different reasons. Some of them want to attract new customers or be seen as an expert. It's kind of like if you go to a chamber networking event and there's 6 insurance agents there. Think about it. There's 6 different insurance agents. You're new in town. Tell me if I'm wrong, Ashley, because you've been in this space before. Because people do business with those they know, like, and trust, right? And right. So if you've got a book there, okay, and you do your book as one of the giveaways, or maybe you get up and share your book, or even just sell your book to people, they're going to remember you. If they take that book home, that establishes credibility because your face is in that book. And I just got to think, and I've seen this happen over my years, people are more likely. Hey, Tony's on Facebook. He's asking the same question. Thank you, Tony. Yeah, I think you just get up earlier. And what I was going to say during the quarantine is I see you in the studio in the green room. I'm going to send you, I'm talking to Mr. Confidence to send him back to hair and makeup. Now, Ashley, I got to say, your hair and makeup, you did great. We're going to send Mr. Confidence back to hair and makeup. We may bring him on. But before we do, I just wanted to talk about this because Tony's looking for time to write his book. And we're saying when you're working from home, I think it's a little easier to not cheat, but get done with your day job quicker if you're quarantined. So, Tony, with that being said, I want to bring on some energy here to the house. Ashley, you're great. I want to keep you on board here. And the 3 of us are going to, boom, there's Daniel, Mr. Confidence. How you doing, sir?
Hey, Ashley, how you doing?
I'm good.
And turn up your mic. We can't hear you.
Can't hear me.
We'll figure it out. Figure out your microphone. Yeah, because we got a lot of comments in the chat. We got authors from Asia to Canada, Mexico.
Can you hear me now?
I'm just holding mine.
Is that better, Michael?
No, we can't hear you. Unplug it.
I can hear Ashley loud and clear. Yeah, why don't you unplug and then go commando and then plug back in, and we'll see if maybe unplugging helps. Sounds like you just got a loose plug.
Sometimes my computer doesn't like my mic.
Mic check, mic.
I mean, I can barely hear you, but you're very muffled. So we're going to talk about you while you're on, okay? I'm taking a screenshot, guys. We look really good. We're getting a lot of feedback and comments. Tony says it's actually been a perfect time for him. Good to hear from you, man. Your editors completed the great. We're very excited to work with you.
Better.
Hey, that's better.
Oh, maybe.
Hey, listen. Here's a little beyond humor here. We'll tell you guys. Ashley is going to be beating Daniel, I think by about 7 to 10 days in completing the manuscript at the rate we're going. So kudos to Ashley. It remains barring a major catastrophe. Daniel took 60 days. And so that's why we named the course Write Book 60 Days.
Are you almost done, Ashley?
I think I'm done with my chapters. I mean, there's lots of editing, but yes.
Wow.
Israel says hi. Israel's waving at you.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, I told my family I'll get to the laundry in a week.
They can handle the laundry.
That's what I said.
They're all full. They don't do laundry.
Man, I'll tell you what, I don't, that's just amazing for you to do that. Really, just to write a book in less than 60 days. That's just, that is harder than what it seems like, but you did it. And you need honestly, just give yourself a huge pat on the back, because most people never even write a book. Think about that. What is it, Michael? I think it's only 2% of people actually write a book.
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of like running a marathon. A lot of people put it on their bucket list, but like you and I decided today in our interview that we're going to jump out of a plane together soon, right after the COVID's over. Because if you don't go public, it'll never happen. I'm gonna
Did I
lose
agree to
40
that?
pounds in
Did
the
I
next
agree to
90
that?
days. Yeah, we agreed to that. I have it on video.
Man.
Do you
So
know
I want, yeah,
what advice I got yesterday from the writers webinar that you invited me to that I loved?
Okay.
That if there was one thing that I could that I'm going to implement in my writing from now on, it is to not finish your chapter. So that when you wake up,
And elaborate on that. And why is that?
well, I'll tell you, because yesterday I started writing, I was flowing, and I thought I was done. And I've kept you in the back of my mind. Don't edit, don't edit, don't edit. Well, I just had in mind, I'm not done with this chapter today. And so as I started reading over what I was writing, I mean, man, it was just flowing, just because you're picking up off of ideas that you already had and letting your new ideas flow. That was the best advice I got yesterday. And it helped me so much this morning as I picked up and just made that chapter that was good, great, I think.
Well, that's great feedback, and you're making it happen. Now, Daniel, you knocked this baby out. I'm giving you a hard time. It's 65 days. That's nothing to scoff at. Congrats, man. You've got a beautiful book, and my goodness, we're getting great feedback all over, not only from car dealership industry, but just people in general that are in sales, and the people that are speaking, because you work a lot with speakers that need self-esteem to get on stage. Tell us about your experience and what advice you give authors, because we've got a number of new and return authors. And as we open up this group, Write Book 60 Days, what advice would you give an author that's stuck and maybe been trying to do it for 6 years on their own?
it definitely helps when you belong to a group. Like right now, it's just one of the messages that I'm doing is together we're better, right? Together we're better. And together, when you're part of a publishing team, it just helps to get ideas. Kind of like what Ashley said. You know, we had a couple of coaching sessions with her and got her going, and then she got her groove going, and then the next level
she took off like a house on fire. It was great.
I know. Look at her, like she's even like I don't even recognize her right now. She just
I looked at the Google Doc right before this call, and I thought, hit publish. This baby is ready to go.
But if I would give somebody a word of advice, is sometimes we try too hard, and what I mean by that is you try to make you force the words to write out, and just really, for myself, what I would do is I would get up first thing in the morning, and I would just really meditate 30 minutes to an hour just to really clear my head and spend some alone time with me. And one thing that I would say is most writers that I've seen this, most authors don't say this to themselves, is they don't tell themselves, you have to use affirmations as you're getting ready to write your book. You have to say, I am an amazing author, first of all, and I am a creative writer. And when you say those two affirmations to yourself, man, your subconscious mind just takes off. So let me say those again. You got to tell yourself, I am an amazing author and I am a creative writer. And when you start believing in that, the words just come out and your mind is set. So I would definitely give 30 minutes to an hour just meditation and prayer and really just clear yourself out. And as soon as you're done with that, boom, start writing, because before you know it, you're writing for like an hour and a half and the juices are just flowing because you activated your own mind.
And
that's beautiful. Go ahead, Ashley. I was going to ask you to add to that.
You say also just like having your group, clearing your head, all of those things, knowing you're not alone in feeling like you're not good enough. You know, that feeling of what am I doing? I'm an imposter. I'm not good enough. Knowing that every author down to Joseph Campbell, A Hero's Journey, has had that feeling of what am I doing? I'm not good enough. I'm an imposter. Why does misery love company so much, right? That's why I think I emailed that to you yesterday. It feels so good to not be the only one that feels like an imposter. So,
well, that's powerful. That's really epic, guys. We've got a question here from one of the top timeshare agents in history. Really, the last 10 years, the last decade, I think he sold more timeshares in Mexico. Kerry Lowe asked the question, and he's a Ziglar certified coach. So I'll throw this to you first, Daniel, but he says, I'm a self-published, a small book, but I've grown a lot since then. Do you recommend starting over or rewriting my first book with more content?
So, Carrie, what I would definitely do, actually, me and Michael went over this morning, and I'm seeing your comments right now. We got a lot of people that are commenting. What I would do, Carrie, first of all, is maybe just rebrand your book. A lot of times, the quality that the book cover itself is. I almost made this mistake myself. Is I wanted to do everything myself, and you can't, because people don't realize you gotta think about the interior design. You gotta think about the editing. You have to think about the book cover. You have to think about everything. And I would say this, Carrie, if you have a quality book, maybe what it is, it just like us right now, right? A lot of us are in quarantine, and all we need is a little bit of hair and makeup, and we look good as new, and a haircut. Of course, Michael doesn't need a haircut, but he just needs makeup, right?
I will say this to Carrie too. I will say this to Carrie too. Is Carrie needs his picture on the front of the book. Carrie needs his picture on the front of the book, because when you're in sales and you're a speaker, particularly when you're a Ziglar certified coach, because if you think about it, and I go back to businesses, it doesn't matter what your political persuasion is, but if you go back and look at The Art of the Deal, I was talking to Daniel about this. We were talking about another author's book cover, and we even mentioned on your book cover, The Art of the Deal, Donald Trump 30 years ago is branding his face, his hair, and his brand is him. And if you're an author, speaker, and expert, well, I mean, look at Forbes Riley. She's done $2.5 billion on the Home Shopping Network. She knows a little bit about branding. And you know what? Every book that she's done and the books that we're doing with her now, I'll show you another one of her books here in a minute, but we're going to put her picture on that front cover. You want your picture on that front cover, Carrie. So I agree with what Daniel says. Let's repackage you a little bit, because you have grown a lot since then. And really, now that you're Ziglar certified, I could give you off the top of my head about four chapters I would add. So go ahead and do a meeting with me. Get on my calendar. But I also want you to be a part of our writing group for the next 60 days. It's going to be an intimate group. We'll probably keep it under 24 people. But we're going to be able to bounce things off of each other and support one another and help one another. And Tony agrees with you. Daniel, do you have anything to add to that? Ashley, on Carrie's question?
Say the question one more time.
Just as far as he self-published a few years ago, but he's written since then. Should he start over, or just kind of?
I was so conflicted with wanting my face on a cover or not, because at first I thought, is this like self-aggrandizing? Am I thinking too much of myself? And then I just had to get out of my head. And you're right. Why would you not want to own what you are writing? These are your words. And stop letting the voices, the peanut gallery, tell you that you shouldn't be proud of it, right?
I love that peanut gallery.
Hey, I got to tell you something. I learned something from you guys every time we do one of these shows. But I was on with Dr. Oz the other day. Oh, no, wait a minute. I've been on so many. I wasn't on with Dr. Oz. I was dreaming of being on with Dr. Oz, but I was watching Dr. Oz on TV the other day, and I learned something. Because, Daniel, somebody told us we shouldn't have our branding behind us. But I thought, you know what? If we're not going to put our brand, if we're not going to wrap ourselves proudly in our brand, who will, right? And so I noticed something about Dr. Oz. He was on daily, he's on the news, but he's always in front of his Dr. Oz banner. Have you noticed that? Notice him every time you see him, he's got all these little Dr. Oz logos here for the Dr. Oz show. He's building $1 billion brand, and he knows every time he goes on TV for free, he's not getting paid a dime, but he's got millions and millions of people watching him, and his brand equity is going up. When he launches a book, he's going to sell more books. Brand equity is everything. So brand yourself. If you're not proud of your story yet, now get it. The first phase of a manuscript is called the vomit phase. That's when we vomit everything up on the wall. Hopefully not everything sticks, because it's going to be nasty. But we're going to pick and choose. But we are going to stage ingredients. Let me remove that image from your mind. Let's go into kitchen when we're feeling good, not feeling sick. We're going to stage these 4 food groups, and we're going to reverse engineer the book. So let me tell you what we're going to do. And I'm not going to sell you anything. This is all free. And then we're going to wrap up, because, Daniel, I wasn't able to get my PowerPoint to show on the screen share. Maybe you can help me with that later. But
wasn't able to work?
I mean, you can tell me, but Ashley and I, maybe because we're in co-host mode, we weren't able to see it. But on this 60-day group, We're going to give you 7 things, and we're going to give you everything you need as an author to intimately understand your audience, learn how to write your book backwards, learn how to create a hook so you hook your reader in every chapter, and optimizing the chapter structure so that readers stay engaged, don't get bored, and getting others to refer and recommend your book, how to stay in creative mode. And then finally, I'm going to share a link with everybody how to do research to find out if the topic and the title you're thinking of is actually the best topic and title. And I'm going to use Daniel as an example.
Well, hey, just real quick, Michael. So Carrie says, "Thank you, Michael. I'm in." Right. So it's just this is awesome, right? The one I didn't mean to interrupt you, Michael, but this is what we talked about this morning.
I'm glad you're seeing the comments too. That's good. So Carrie, I agree, and we're glad you're in because totally. Here's what we'll do here. We'll give you feedback. We'll have a lot of fun. It'll feel like family. Is we're going to stage the ingredients that you have because sometimes you can warm up some leftovers and that's okay, but we need to go out and get some new ingredients as well because we're going to totally recommend some new chapters for you. So for example, Daniel has got a whole chapter in here, his book, that Sticker Shock, The Day You Realize You're Worth Millions. There's a whole chapter in here on recruiting millennials and selling to millennials. So do you think that would be important? There's a whole chapter on here on how to be a closing machine. You know, one section is dress for success. It's a practical takeaway for millennials that haven't been taught anything about how to show up for a job interview. So how to dress for success, how to prospect. Daniel talks about digital marketing. Hey, Daniel, I want you to talk about this because last night I know you did a keynote, a major keynote, and it was online and you got paid for it. But how has the COVID virus changed our industry with speaking, authors, and experts? Do you think we'll get back to normal in a few weeks, or do you think it's forever changed? If so, how?
Well, as a matter of fact, it's forever changed, but it's forever changed in a good way because I think now I'll be considered for a lot more keynotes. And the reason I say that because instead of just doing live ones, you do virtual ones. And like I mentioned earlier, man, it was off the chain when I did the stage. They're like, you have a stage online, and I'm like, hey, when you're creative, it just brings out your red juices on there. So I would say it's going to help because just say gigs because there's a lot of opportunities that I would pass on because say I was say like me and you, we were in Florida with Forbes Lardy. We were in at the small business LA. And so if I'm over there and I can't be in Texas, well, guess what? Now I can be in Texas virtually, and now I know how to speak on stage, and now I know how to do a virtual stage even better. So it's just like it's more speaking engagements because you can actually do one in Florida, you can do one in California, you can do one in Texas, all in the same day, and you don't even have to fly.
I love it. It is beautiful. I mean, and hopefully we don't kill the airline industry. I'd still like to go sit on a beach occasionally. But you're right. It's definitely changed. And so one thing we're going to do in this group is we're going to have a weekly call like this, guys. And then, of course, we're going to record it. We're going to give you feedback. I'm going to give everybody a link to my book. In fact, I'll just put it in the comments now since I wasn't able to share my screen. Let me know if there's any last-minute questions, and then we're going to do a quick wrap-up. But bestseller status is hundreds of people go bestseller. I'm going to give you
Anthony made a comment. So this is for all the self-publishing people out there. Anthony says that is true, Daniel. I learned a lot from publishing my own book. So what Anthony was saying was it doesn't give you a great quality when you do self-publishing. And even though you might not be able to afford, say, the top package or whatever is out there for publishing, you definitely don't want to look like you're buying your book or your book came from a thrift store. You definitely wanted to have some appeal, some character behind it, and definitely wanted to just really raise some eyebrows, like Michael said, and really just get some engagement there.
Ashley, what will you do the next week to knock your book out and make it happen? What are you doing?
My brain was turning while y'all were talking. I was just thinking about that. My next step is to bring my introduction full circle to the ending. So that's what I want to do. I want to wrap it all up in one final chapter of final thoughts, and then send it your way, and and start working on a cover. My brain's going 100 miles an hour. Like, what photographer am I going to use? What do I want it to look like? Do I want it to be white and pink, or do I want it to be have all these fun?
You definitely want your picture on the cover. Did you go ahead and decide you want your photo on the cover?
I do, absolutely. I do, because I want to own it, because it's my story with a lot of practical takeaways, but it's still my story, and I want to be proud of a book about vulnerability and then not be vulnerable enough to throw my face on it, right? So
I love it. I love it.
Hey, Michael.
The other thing is, too, once you have that book cover in hand, you're going to be out there getting photo ops and interviews and even launching your own show like this, where you're interviewing people that you talk about in your book, you know?
Yeah. I mean, and I had this conversation with my husband, and I just came down to, it's not about being famous. It's about being there with people and having a face to go with the story that says, look, I'm there with you. This is me. I've been there. I'm with you. I can go into that dark place with you. We can cry together, and then we can come back up together. Right. So I want my face on that. Absolutely.
Beautiful. You wanted to say something there, Daniel?
No, I would just say that just going back to just having a support team. It's just amazing. Like, I'm looking at Ashley, and she's not even the person that we started talking to 60 days ago. She's a lot more confident, a lot more just like, now she really sees herself as an author. And when you have that support group around you, it changes everything.
You know, I want to wrap up by saying this. We just had the Story Summit cruise, and we had Jeff Ark on there. And if you don't know that name, you'll know the movie. He's the one that wrote Sleepless in Seattle, which is considered the greatest romantic comedy of all time. And the first thing he said in his workshop when he got up, and he said, how many of you are aspiring writers? You know, and half the room raised their hand. But I looked at the other half, and I knew they got it already. And he says, no, you're not aspiring writers. He says, you are a writer, and you're working on your craft. And so by the end of the week, everybody knew, I'm not an aspiring writer. You are a writer. And guys, iron sharpens iron. And we're going to, I say guys, but ladies and gentlemen, you know, it's funny, 70%, and Daniel knows this, 70% of our authors are women. So you're going to meet some powerful women in this group like Ashley, who's going to be sharing the story. And I think the beautiful thing about it is the feedback you're going to get is phenomenal. We're going to teach you how to make every chapter a standalone workshop, a standalone keynote, or a coaching program that you can monetize. Daniel is just brilliant at helping people monetize their back end stuff, because, you know, authors only make about 20% of their revenue from book sales, but they make all their other money from speaking and from coaching programs and things like that. So we're going to help you. We're going to guide you. There's no cost to this, but we're not going to let everybody in. They've got to have a serious passion to get their book done, and they've got to commit to 60 days being a part of the group and accepting people's feedback. If you're a person whose feelings get hurt easily, it's not a good fit. If you're a person that that is unsure about your goal in life, it's not going to fit. So if you want to do it, private message me, and then also get on my calendar if you want more information. If you private message me, I'll reach out to you anyway and set up a one-to-one. But was this fun today, guys, or what? I mean, we had Pakistan on the line. We had Toronto. We had Rick Denley got on here before you did, Daniel, and big shout out. Carrie Lowe, who is a Ziglar certified. Anthony Pollard, whom you're going to be meeting. He's down in Alabama. And we just had some great comments from around the country. Israel Hernandez is working on his book. So kudos, Israel. We want you to be a part of this group. And even Ben Gay, who sold 5 million books, we'll ask him to be a guest, because he does a phenomenal, what an incredible background and how he sold 5 million books before the internet. So good friends with Zig Ziglar and good friends with Jim Rohn. And yeah, he ran direct sales companies, and they sold a ton of books through those Amway type organizations that really help people in sales training. So with that being said, guys, I wanted to keep this under an hour. We're right at 50 minutes. It's been a blast with you guys today. Any closing words or thoughts you want to share?
I'll let you go first, Daniel. I'm trying. Oh, okay. You know what? I found it. There's a quote that I put in my book on the idea of criticism from Aristotle. And it says, do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing, and you'll never be criticized.
I
So
love that.
get out there, do something. There's always going to be a critic, no matter
I
what,
love that.
right? So I love that too.
Well, I got a big announcement. That was great, Ashley. Thank you. Daniel has officially launched something, and he's going to tell you. He's got a couple things. He's always launching. I will tell you this secret. I was going to show you in the PowerPoint my photo with my friend Sharon Lecter when it comes to always be launching. She's an 18-time New York Times best-selling author of the Rich Dad Poor Dad series, and she's the mastermind and brains behind that. But I've heard her speak several times this last year as we were on tour together on the Think and Grow Rich tour. And every time she took stage, she told us of the next 4 books she was launching. Always be launching. That's my quote of the day from Sharon Lecter. Always be launching. And with that, Daniel, I'm not going to steal your thunder on anything. So, you want to put any final words?
Man, I think you're just right. I think a book's really going to help you brand yourself. And, you talked about having your logo. I always wear my logo right here. Where's my logo? Right there. I have it on my cups. You got to be branding yourself. And if you're not branding yourself, the best way to brand yourself is with the book, because you can give somebody a business card, but the best business card you can give to somebody, just think about this. If you're traveling going from an airport to a city, the best thing you do is give somebody a book, and they'll never forget you. Because I got many clients by giving them a book instead of a business card, because they'll lose a business card, but they won't lose your book.
That's awesome. That's great. Thanks for joining us, friends. Let's write your book in 60 days. You can do it. We'll do a deep dive. We'll give you personalized attention. There is going to be an investment. That's an investment of your time and your heart. I want you to give 100% of your heart to the group in 60 days of your life. There's not a lot of homework. It's one-on-one where we're going to challenge you once a week, but then we're going to send you back to your to the corner to write your book in quarantine. But you're going to come out. Hey, for those that Netflixed on their couch and gained 20 pounds, you're going to come out and you're going to be ready to launch your story to the world. So, guys, thanks so much for joining me. It was a pleasure. It was an honor having you on. Thanks, Ashley. Thanks, Daniel, so much for sharing with our crew here. Bye-bye. God bless.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Great job.
There, I see your book. I see your slide now.
Well, this is actually not my slide. This is my branded image for the homepage.
I like that. Right day, right book.
I'm still live. Yeah. Let me end the live and then we'll recap. That was great, guys. Thank you.